Hi everyone. So I thought I'll do a quick webinar in terms of why Bloomberg is important to investor relations teams for listed companies. So as many of you know, this coronavirus has really hit businesses across our space. And as you can see, the Australian market has been down 7.36% today, which is quite horrific. So I thought we'd show you a few functionalities which a company can use to improve their investor relations. I'm just going to pull up a corporate, which is one of our clients, which is Recce Pharmaceuticals, which is listed on the ASX. And then Bloomberg has a description screen. So you, as an investor, essentially lands on this page. They can see the description, basic financials, who's part of the management, and also the share price chart. Now, a lot of companies don't have this contact IR function. We had to install this for Recce Pharmaceuticals by reaching out to the Bloomberg help desk, and essentially as an investor I can click into the company and directly reach out. So I'm just going to do a test run of how this actually looks. So as you can see, it's got my name, my title, company I'm working for, and also the type of investor that I am. So you can essentially request a call or a meeting with the specific company that you're interested in and reach out. So let's say I want to reach out to Recce. I can propose a specific date and then send it across to the company, which then they will get the email for. So what we would recommend is that a lot of corporates essentially have this functionality in place because it's something that most are not too aware of. Then the second thing that a corporate can do is essentially change the description that they have available. A lot of corporates either have the wrong classification and also an incorrect description, which is very key. And now why this is important, I will show you as a next step. So most fund managers, when they're screening for a new security, they will go to EQS, which is Equity Search on Bloomberg. Now, what this tool actually does is to screen for interesting companies or companies that that investor is looking for. Now, let's say I'm looking for an Australian company that, for example, has a market cap of less than 100 million. I can actually filter all the companies that are in this space. But if I've got a certain industry that I'm interested in as an investor, so let's use Recce as a example. So given that Recce is a biotech company, and if their classification was incorrect, they would not be found by that investor. So let's click on biotech and pharmaceuticals. And we've seen many companies make this mistake by having the wrong classification and not being aware that they had to change that, which can be the case if you're in a very specialized industry. So as you can see, we've come up with around 50 odd names that have shown up for biotech companies that are sub 100 million listed on the ASX. Now, if you had your wrong classification, you would not be within this list. The other thing that's important is to have your corporate access events, your roadshows listed on the EVTS function. Now, there's a couple of ways that one can do it. One is by reaching out to us and we can assist you on doing that, or there is a tool in the market called WeConvene, which can assist with having your investor relations event on this functionality, or your corporate access day, or for example, if you're presenting at a conference like this Kepler Cheuvreux conference, you can actually put your participation up on here. So let's click on one of these. So let's look at this company, Tomra Systems, which is presenting at the Kepler Cheuvreux conference. I'll click into it. This conference is on the 12th of March in Brussels. Let's say I'm interested to meet with the IR officer, Mr. Bing Zhao. I can press request access, and then I can write which times I'd be keen on meeting him. Now, I'm not going to do this because obviously I'm not going to go to Brussels and meet with the company, but it's another tool that allows you to engage with investors. And the other thing that is very important, I mean, for us, that essentially markets and reaches out to investors, is the ISGO function, which is investor search. Now, for example, if we're looking for new investors for Recce, we can see that investors in Recce or peer stocks, there's around 2,300 out globally. So you can click into that. So given Recce is a biotech company, this will come up with companies that Bloomberg deems as peer stocks, or that are already current investors in Recce. So I can see that all these investors, such as Norges, State Street, Fidelity, Schroders, all have interest in biotech companies. Now, this becomes quite interesting for us because, again, you can filter this into a certain location. So I can click into investor location as Australia if I'm trying to organize a roadshow for Recce within Australia. So I know that these are the investors that have had an interest in biotech companies. So the other thing is, let's go back to the home screen of Recce. So we've discussed having the description, having the classification, and also the contact button, which investors can reach out to as being correct, and this is something we can assist with. And the other thing is one can also click into management. Now, what we realized with a lot of small cap companies, it's extremely important to get to know management and to understand how they've performed for investors. Now, here is a function which I found quite interesting to show performance data of board and management that have been involved. So you can see the tenure of the board members and the management, and you can click into the show performance data. So you can see, since certain executives have been involved, this is the share price of the company. So this is essentially the total return annualized since that executive has joined the company. Now, that's why we also think it's important for executives to put their tenure on there so investors can essentially see how long they've been part of the company and what the performance has been. So we would definitely reach out to Justin and Michelle and check how long they've been part of the company. Now, cross-boarding, why we think that's important is we do think that obviously a lot of the non-execs may have numerous different board memberships. It's important that it's not too many, because you still would want a non-exec to have a certain focus on a small cap. So if you see too many cross-boardings going on, this might be a flag to bring up with the company and ask, is there enough duty of care being done on the non-execs or even on the executive person's side? So the other thing that one can do on Bloomberg is, I mean, obviously correlation analysis. So let's again pull up a chart of Recce and we can compare it to the current incident of the coronavirus. So there is actually a chart on Bloomberg which essentially can correlate the confirmed cases of the coronavirus and how it's grown over the last few months. And we can compare it with the share price of Recce. So, I mean, as you can see, up until mid-February, I mean, the market was still rallying. It was a big bull market for quite a long time, especially in Australia. And within the last few weeks of Feb to the beginning of our current time, that correlation has actually gone the opposite way. So we found this quite interesting, that one can do such analysis. So one could also pull up companies that have a opposite correlation or a direct correlation with the coronavirus, such as, you know, companies in the hand sanitizer space, companies that are producing I guess products that benefit consumers due to the coronavirus, such as a company called Zuno, which essentially has really benefited with their hand sanitizer products, their cleaning products, since the coronavirus has been announced. Now, the other thing that's important for companies is to really pay attention to their social media. Now, Bloomberg has a functionality called a Twitter activity chart, which essentially calculates the sentiment of how many positive Twitter posts have been made and negative posts have been made. So we can actually track this over a period of time. And if you're someone that essentially wants to price in noise into a stock, you can do so. So we can see that Zuno has had a few positive Twitter announcements during this period here. And is there a certain correlation between share price and positive Twitter feed? It seems there is. And you can do certain analysis like that. So it's important that when you're posting a tweet on your Twitter account, so you've got certain followers, that they do tag you correctly. So you can see that specific to Zuno, there's been all these tweets being made, positive or negative, but they've essentially captured that in Bloomberg. Now, if anyone is keen to find out more in terms of how we can assist in terms of making your Bloomberg experience a lot more streamlined, because we know how investors are actually looking up companies, we'd be happy for you to reach out to us at Spark Plus. And we do hope that everyone stays safe in these horrible environments. So if any of our corporate friends requires any assistance with updating or maintaining their Bloomberg account or profile, we'd be happy to assist with that. And given that a lot of companies can't roadshow during this period, it might make sense to look at other items as having your Bloomberg data correct and paying attention to items that I walk through. So we do hope that all of our business associates, investors, and corporates do stay healthy during such testing times. That's all for today.